Well, we're just about done this series.
Which is hard to believe.
It's taken a year, just about.
Actually, it's true. And not an evenly spaced year. Like, it was like, hey,
No.
one every 6 weeks, to then there were periods where, like, a 4-week period, there were 6 films reviewed.
It was very sporadic at the beginning, and then we realized that we had been a little too loose with our schedule, given at the time when the release date of No Time to Die was.
Yeah, because there was a period where there was no way we could have reviewed them all in time to watch No Time to Die in theaters. Then the first COVID delay, it was like, hey, this is a thing. Let's, like, we'd be silly not to do it. Let's make it
capitalize
happen.
on this.
Yeah. And then unfortunately it got postponed again, so it was in a way all for nothing, but at least it'll be cool that it will line up, just it won't be immediately when we're done.
Yeah, I don't know if it would be all for nothing, because I mean it's coming out in the spring now, and and at the rate we were reviewing them initially, we would be nowhere near where we are now.
Yeah, that's true.
Right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know. I think either way we had to hike up our socks.
It's not ideal, obviously, but I think it's still working out.
Sure. 007 series, I'm going to rapid fire through this because I say it every time.
Yep.
I had never seen any of the 007 films before, so we are fixing that. We watch all the movies. We rank them on a scale of 0 to 10 in 8 different categories.
Yep.
And we take all those scores, we average them, we take that number and place it in a ranking system along with all the others to help us find the quintessential Bond film. So,
which will it be?
Which will it be? So far for both of us, it's Casino Royale.
Yeah, baby.
The 2006 one.
Oh, obviously.
Danny boy.
Today we do Skyfall, number 25.
Yeah, let's just do this.
Let's
just
get
jump
into
in.
it.
This is going to confuse people. It's number 25 because we also did the 2 non-Eon.
Yes,
Bond films.
yes. Number 23 Eon, 25 total.
Yeah, 23 being my favorite number. We talk about that a lot.
It has come up a lot.
But it's I love that number. Okay. Skyfall.
Yes.
The category of plot.
Okay, lay it on me.
This is a plot that we've seen never in Bond films before, but I've seen, like, the idea that there's an agency and the agency has a list and the list has been compromised and that means that a bunch of agents are in jeopardy.
Yeah, true.
It's not a unique plot.
True. I wondered
think
where
one of
you
the
were
Johnny-
going, because I was like, where have we seen this before? But yeah, that has been done.
One of the Johnny English films did it, I think. Probably as a spoof to this.
Sure.
But yeah, and then I've seen it at least one other place, and I can't remember. But it's as far as like spy espionage movies go, it's a well-trot plot.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's been used many times. Having said that,
Sure.
Skyfall's plot gets a 9. Because although we've seen this a bunch of times,
Yeah.
we've never seen it like this. Like normally
Sure.
you get, the list, okay, we're going to retrieve the list and everyone's okay. No, literally immediately people start dying.
Right.
And MI6 gets bombed. And then we find Mr. Silva, and he's got so much drive to him because of stuff that we discover what his motivation is and why he is the bag of ass that he is. But it's so, it's not so much the plot, but it's the execution of the plot, and it's the little subplots. It's the things that are woven throughout it. Stuff like his co-agent shooting him in the beginning, and so he's got that, sort of animosity as a result of that, and just how everything flows so nicely in this.
Fair enough. Interesting.
Yeah, so I gave it a 9.
That's a solid score. I gave it a 7, so not as high, but not too far off. It's simple enough. Perhaps pushes the Bond storyline forward, I guess. But I would also say perhaps not. We don't progress in the Spectre storyline, or at least what the underlying story is behind film 1 and 2 and kind of what's pushing things forward there. I do like there's a theme in this of the greater good outweighing an individual, and it's introduced quite early and quite frequently, and it really kind of resurfaces throughout the film in a key way. And there's an element to the story that I do like, the returning to an old classic theme, because obviously this film is 50 years from the original, so we get this kind of anniversary where we start in the film where it's super techy, super modern, but then as it progresses in the story, we return to more simpler kind of settings and kind of motifs. And, by the end, there's this standoff at the Bond ranch that could have happened in 1962. Like, nothing is out of place as far as technology in that circumstance. My only argument with it is it seemed more like a Jason Bond film at that certain point in time than a James Bond film. So
you mean Jason Bourne?
Sorry, yeah, it felt more like Jason Bourne than James Bond at that point.
Okay.
Just with
All
the
right.
action style and whatnot. But yeah,
Ultimately
I
think
it was
you're
good.
wrong, but it's fair.
Yeah. The only thing I don't know what other category to bring it up in other than plot, and it's just a small little snippet, is when they're at the Bond ranch. It just feels weird because I'm wondering, there's this Kincaid dude that shows up, and I'm just like, what have you been doing all these years at the ranch? And literally there was no car there, so how does he go to town? Like, does he just use Uber Eats? Does he never leave? Is he the caretakers till death? I was just curious how that works. But a 7 out of 10.
He Ubers. Next category, we have portrayal of Bond.
Sure.
And just like last time, I gave this a 10. I think the first Daniel Craig film laid a foundation.
Sure.
The second one built on it.
Sure.
And this just took all of it one step further.
I can take that, yeah.
Adding this layer of now a broken Bond, a Bond that is not only not physically adept to do the job, but is struggling with these demons of essentially alcoholism at this point.
Yep.
Because we've never seen that. Like, we've seen a Bond who we go, Bond drinks a lot, doesn't he? But
right.
never like, oh, okay, I'm worried about Bond's liver.
Yeah.
Like we are in this one. And then on top of that, all of him having to reconcile and deal with just all of his thoughts pertaining to his past, visiting a place that it seems like he told himself he would never return to, yet there he is. And how he deals with that, how he navigates through potentially, arguably, the most threatening and serious and intense set of circumstances that Bond has had to, but doing so the least equipped to do so that he has been. He needs to bring his A game now more than ever, but he's got a lower batting average than he ever has in the past.
Right.
And I think that's just such a wonderfully entertaining combination. So I give it a 10.
Wow. That's a strong score, but well defended. I can't argue it. I gave it a slightly lower. I gave it a 9. I think it's great. Specifically, I thought it was interesting how throughout these Daniel Craig films, we are seeing different sides to Bond, whether it was his emotional connections with Vesper or with Mathis. You know, we see more human elements of him. In this one, I feel like it was definitely interesting to see him worried about agents being left behind, or the individual worrying about the individual versus just worrying about the big picture. So that was interesting. But there was definitely the recurring theme of like, this is a young man's game. And I remember when I first watched this film, with all the themes of aging and death, I really honestly thought this film was kind of building us up to like, this is Daniel Craig's last film, and to which I'm pleasantly surprised that I was wrong and that he's here for two more, like Spectre and No Time to Die. So I'm glad I was not I'm glad I was incorrect. I'm glad that's not what this film was leading to. But yeah, on a couple of lighter notes, Bond breaks into M's apartment again, and Bond cannot sleep his way into a clean bill of health, which was refreshing to see from what we've seen historically. So just generally a strong performance, a 9 out of 10.
Sweet. Next up, we have Villain.
Mm-hmm.
I gave this a 10 out of 10.
Whoa.
You know what?
Whoa. Whoa.
We have a gimmick.
Okay.
In the sense that he's this guy who because of a cyanide capsule that didn't do its job, has melted away his insides and a good chunk of his face. And man, that scene, that just like terrifying feeling, eerie, make your stomach turn feeling when he takes his prosthetic out, and you see his face kind of droop down and cave in and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So that's menacing. I love, I'm a big believer a Bond villain needs a gimmick. So he's got one. His interaction when he first meets Bond and he's kind of like coming on to Bond. He's kind of like
right.
He's kind of having his own little bit of fun, all the while kind of psychologically attacking Bond, like trying to break down his character. That's fun. His ability to, it just his smarts. Like, he's a genius. He's constantly one step ahead of Bond and M and all of MI6. His ability to hack their system, his ability to escape the way that he does. It's said at one point in the film, like, he's been planning this. This is everything that's happened. It's happened because he orchestrated it too. And so that's amazing. And then just his drive, his motivation. There's never a moment. There's been moments in the past with Bond villains where you go, is he just this hell bent on power? Like, he loves money that much? Like, move on, get past this. This is gonna get you killed. Is the score really worth what you're going through here? You never ever doubt Mr. Silva's. You never doubt his motivation. You never doubt his drive, his hatred, his anger. The fact that he spent all of that time being tortured, and holds M responsible, and will stop at nothing to take M out, and really, for the most part, sees Bond as an afterthought. Bond is just an irritating roadblock between him and M.
Right.
I don't know. He was just. There was never a moment when he was on the screen I didn't find his performance gripping. So he gets a 10 out of 10.
Wow. Okay. So this is where we start to differ a little bit. I gave it a 5 out of 10, and I won't argue that.
Go home.
I won't argue that it's not gripping, but here are my two main things here. So I've always found that mouse dialogue, or mouse monologue, I guess, it's a little gimmicky and to a fault.
The last rat standing.
Yeah, instead of feeling natural and very like progressing naturally, something about it just never really clicked with me. Like, he starts reciting it even before like the elevator opens, pretty much, and he gives off this vibe of like that he's been practicing it in the mirror for months, and it just, to me, it seems a little more pathetic than menacing. You know, yes, he as a villain, bigger picture here, he's calculated, he's precise, but again, almost to a fault to me as a viewer, because his plots and his plans lack even a touch of realism, and they require so many things to line up. Like, I mean, even the most calculated of plans have some unforeseen changes. At times these schemes, they almost required like an omnipotent presence to actually just weave their way through and be accurate. You know what I mean? Like, there's always things that are unaccounted for that he was just banking on just for everything to run seamlessly. And
like what?
Like everything, like just everything that came to a timing where James Bond literally could have shot him in the leg. Instead, everything kind of worked out as a timing to where he could like comedically hit a button, and then the subway exploded and came down and kind of came between him and James Bond. Like, there was just things where it was like, you know what? Real world here. What if that subway was running late? What if James Bond had said, screw this, I'm not getting burned again. I'm literally shooting you in the femur, and then you can't run away anymore. And even if a subway had come down, the villain's left there crawling on the ground, and it's all his plans fall through. You know what I mean? Like, just everything that it was like, everything had to be perfectly in line. That just, some things just lacked a realism. We've talked about this in Home Alone. It's kind of like each individual thing he did was plausible, was very realistic. I'm like, yeah, like there's nothing impossible about that. It's just the volume that it happened at, where it's not just one gimmick or one scheme. One on their own is fine. Like, that things happen like that all the time. But when you're lining up a dozen things that all have to line up to work seamlessly, that's when it's just like, there's always going to be one weak link, and if it falls apart, then kind of other aspects would fall apart too. So, I don't think it was bad. It's not the worst film we've ever had. It's not my favorite. So I gave it a 5 out of 10. He's right down the middle.
Can I make a counter argument?
Oh, of course.
What if, just because he seems so like he's thought of everything.
Sure.
Right? That's part of his character, is he's thought of everything. So yep. How many contingencies do you think he has?
Fair.
Right? Like, you're going off the assumption that this is his one plan, and that if it doesn't time out perfectly, then he's screwed. Or is he just that prepared? Is he just that well equipped that, if I'm forced to go, there's 7 streets surrounding MI6 for my escape to happen. Right. And if I, for some reason, get detoured to any one of these 7 streets, then this is what happens. Right? If I end up in the tunnel underneath, then I can blow up because I've got bombs placed here, 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 and here. Because he obsesses, because he, you say it seems like he spent time practicing it in the mirror. I bet you he has.
He probably has,
because he's so obsessed, because he's so driven. He's had nothing but time. Like, there nothing else exists in his life except for the gripping reality that he spent this time being tortured, and that now he's seeking revenge.
Actually, that's, what I'm going to say, what I'll say to that is, I'm not obviously going to change my score as a result of what you said.
Sure.
And I don't think you've convinced me one way or the other with what you said. But I do mean this with all sincerity. I think that's a really good point that I didn't necessarily consider. But at the end of the whole point of this scoring is, it's just not a villain that I really, really think is the best, and that's what it comes down to. But I'd actually never really considered that, and that's true. Like, maybe he's just so calculated that, it's kind of fluky that the one street that he drove down was fine, but maybe we didn't see the 7 other streets that had 7 other getaway cars that weren't used, that he just had kind of in his back pocket. So that's fair.
Sure.
I can take that.
Cool. Okay, so next category, gadgets. I gave this a 9. Listen.
Wow.
So there was
Okay.
there's no, how do I want to, we've got Q back.
Yes, we do.
Um,
Yeah.
a different Q, but still a fun Q. Really, you know, I don't know if it was the last episode or the episode before. No, it was the last episode that we had with Pierce Brosnan. And
Yes. Yes.
I was saying, Pierce Brosnan's cool with this gun that he's got with the silencer on it and all this stuff. But where's the Walther PPK? Where's the stubby James Bond
Right.
gun? Where's the gun that he's been using from the get? And here it is. And not only is it here, but it's been coded to his palm print, so he's the only one that can use it. Oh man, like that in and of itself is just about the coolest damn thing I've ever seen. Um, followed with a fun little, simple, but just hilariously executed radio transmitter. That's a lot of fun.
Yep.
We've got self-fogging, like fogging glass that goes obscure, which
Yeah, that was kind of cool.
which fun fact. When we were watching it, I paused it and I turned to the person I was watching it with, and I said, watch this YouTube video. This is like, there's nothing fictional about that. That's real. If you have an office
Wow.
building, you can, and you've got like a conference room that's all like glass walls, and you
Right.
need to have a private conference or like,
Sure.
do some money laundering or something. You can like obscure the glass. Like that's
Right.
with like the press of a button. It's really cool, but it does exist. And
Oh,
has for
cool.
a long time actually. But
Dang.
that's all cool. Really what this comes down to at the end of the day is we have the return of a 64 Aston Martin.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
Beautiful
pretty cool.
car.
Yep.
With machine guns
Yep.
and an ejection seat, which he
Yep.
threatens to eject M.
Oh, yeah.
Here's my question though.
Please.
At what point, like the car is back and that's cool. At what point, like, why does it have gadgets? Like, this is the car that he won in a poker game in Casino Royale. And it's back now. We get to see it again. But why does it have, like, did Q Branch put an ejection seat in it? Did Q Branch add the machine guns in it? Like, these are the gadgets that the car had when Sean Connery had it.
Right.
But does it make any sense that the bad guy that he won it off of in Casino Royale had those gadgets?
See, I
in the
never
car?
pictured it. I never pictured it as that's the physical car that he won at the poker game in Casino Royale. I just
Oh, it
pictured
has
it
to
as
be. It's the same make and
well,
model and year and
yeah.
everything.
I mean, it doesn't make sense if you picture it that way. You're right. Like, why would this guy have all that gear? I've always just pictured it as there were two cars mutually exclusive to each other. The one that he won at the poker game, and then this one that was just part of the MI6 fleet, and it's just a coincidence.
That doesn't seem like a bigger stretch to you? That seems like a huge stretch to me.
I feel like they're just
Same color, same everything.
Oh yeah, it both. Yeah, I feel like it's
we would
impossible.
have to go back. We'd have to go back and compare license plates, because if it's the
Yeah.
same license plate, then that's a huge stretch.
Yeah,
If the one in Casino Royale versus this one has the same license plate, then it's gotta be the same car.
Yeah,
Not that you can't take a license plate and move it, but you wouldn't. He
I just
wouldn't.
feel like I don't know why they would have that one from Casino Royale, because like he just kind of won that. It's not like it was the company car.
No, but he obviously kept it. Like, I don't think he would
Yeah.
have, during the debrief or whatever, he would say, by the way, I have a car that needs to be shipped back to
right. Yeah.
MI6 would have done it for him. I don't know.
Yeah. To be
anyways,
honest, I've never given it that much thought, but that's a true point. I don't know. Both are a bit of a stretch.
So, anyways, 9 out of 10.
Sure.
It wasn't the most gadget heavy Bond, but
No.
it left me wanting for a little.
Sure.
Um,
Sure.
Maybe a more modern Aston Martin. Not that I don't like, not
Sure.
not instead of, but in
No, no,
addition
no.
to, right?
Yes.
Having like an
Yes.
MI6 issued
Yep.
Aston Martin.
Please sign me up.
That would have been fun.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe one or two other, I don't know, small doodads or
Sure.
showing off of different technologies.
Yeah.
But overall, super happy. There was nothing. There was no gadget that took away from the experience, and there was very little that I was left wishing I had. So yeah, 9 out of 10.
Cool. I was a little more not impressed. I just gave it a 5 out of 10. It was so for me. I do like how Audi finally made an appearance. BMW has been in these films, more so the Pierce Brosnan one, so that was kind of fun. It was a villain who was driving it, so whatever that means. I did find it, I counted this as a gadget, but it was kind of a bullcrap gadget. There was like that one gun with the henchman that had like the extended magazine. The dermal recognizing gun was cool. The radio transmitter was all right. The assassin's suitcase gun I found a little gimmicky. So just generally, I thought nothing was bad, but it wasn't the best. And yeah, to me, if there had been like a really killer Aston Martin modern day thrown in somewhere, this score probably could have, I probably could have given it a 7, maybe an 8. The only other thing I want to mention, and it's not a gadget, just don't know where else to mention it. It was cool. I think it was it McKellen Scotch? Regardless, where Mr. Silva gives Bond a drink of it, and he's like, hey, it's a personal favorite of yours, and it's a 50-year-old Scotch because it's the 50th anniversary of James Bond. I thought that was kind of cool.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
Mm-hmm. So a 5. 5 out of 10.
Yeah. Okay. That's. I can stomach that. Fights and action.
Sure.
A category that is, like I said, I'm not a action guy.
No.
Really. At the end of the day,
No, yeah.
action movies don't do it for me. I don't really care.
Sure.
Which is why me saying that I gave this a 10.
What? No. What?
Is
no.
of note. Like,
what?
honestly,
Seriously?
not only again was it a
What?
huge with exploding houses and helicopters shooting the house out and
wow.
and just like, oh man,
A 10.
there was and chases, like the chase when he's chasing Mr. Silva after he's escaped.
Huh.
There was nothing. This all I can say is that the fights and action in this movie literally left me wanting for nothing. The fight within the casino, I was just captivated. I was having so much fun. All of the action that happened felt like it belonged. Nothing felt forced. Action sequences never felt like they went on any longer than they had to, and it wasn't even big action. It was just tactful action. It was tasteful action. It was fighting that that was rough around the edges. It was Bond fighting the silhouette fight in the top of the skyscraper. It was tense moments like him struggling to hold on to the elevator going up. It was choking the guy out as they're sinking in the frozen pond.
Yeah.
And struggling to do so. Right? Seeming much, and that's partially because he sucks now because he's been shot. His arm's all buggered and everything.
Yeah.
But it just everything that happened, seeing the co-agent with a gun, seeing like the shootout that happens inside of the courtroom.
Sure.
Bond shooting the fire extinguishers to create cover. everything just worked for me. I was it's my favorite action from any film, action oriented film I've ever seen. So I give it a 10.
Wow. I've got an idea of where this episode is going.
Okay.
I do.
Straight to hell.
So for fights in action, you said a 10?
I did. Sure did, man. Yeah.
I gave it a 2.
What? You
No,
get...
I'm just kidding.
Okay.
I did not
honestly, I thought I was 100% hook, line, and sinker. You had me.
So I gave it an 8, which is respectable.
That's amazing. That's a lot different than a 2.
Yeah. I think it's fine. I think it's quite adequate. I think it's tolerable. Just personally, I don't think it's at the Casino Royale parkour level where, you know, I was gasping, I was grabbing my seat, I was looking at the person next to me. I'm like you. So action films, it really has to grab a hold of me to be of note. So this was a step below Casino, but it was still respectable. We're still in that modern day where the action sequences aren't a drawback to the film like some of the earlier ones. These ones add to the film. I think probably what comes down to it where maybe you gave it a higher score and I gave it a lower score. I touched on this last week too. Just in general with this film as well, the color palette is just so different from Casino Royale, where Casino was so vibrant, so bright. This one, it's more darker, more bland. And, you know, I think the two films and their color palettes, I think, mirror Bond where they're at. Like this one, he's kind of... You know, he's older than he was. He's not as young and vibrant as he was. He's jaded. He's physically broken. You know, from a thematic point of view, it makes perfect sense. I just personally enjoy Casino a bit more. So, 8 out of 10, respectable. Not as good as a 10.
So, talking about color palette, I will defend the statement that there is not a moment in the 25 James Bond films that we've watched that is as vibrant and as stunningly breathtaking and beautiful as the shots of both Mr. Silva and Bond walking, running, limping towards the chapel with the burning Bond estate in the background, glistening off of the foggy moor. It's stunning. It's jaw-droppingly vibrant and beautiful and sad all in and of itself. And man, I don't know, man. That's like the most beautiful shot that any Bond film has given us, in my opinion.
It's really a testament of how far we've come, and obviously a testament of the films reflecting their times, but it is interesting that you could make such a statement and the statement has merit. It has legs. Is where we looked at some of these films from the 60s, from the 70s, and they just weren't trying to do the same things cinematically as was Skyfall, as was Casino Royale. So it is interesting. Sure. And you know what? I can't think of a scene off the top of my head that tops it, so I can't say I agree with you, but I definitely don't disagree with you.
All right, fair. So actually, looking over my notes here, I need to make an amendment.
Sure.
I said that I gave Gadgets a 9. I actually gave it an 8.
Okay.
So still high.
Yeah.
Still really high. And then of note, the other thing I wanted to say in Gadgets, I've been thinking this for several weeks, and I don't know if I've said it. If I have said it, ignore me. If I haven't said it, listen up. You were talking about, like, Pierce Brosnan and the BMW and stuff. Something that's caught me off guard, something that has surprised me in our 25 Bond films, is based on my understanding of Bond, based on what you would think of Bond. It's surprising how seldom in these 25 films Bond actually is behind the wheel of an Aston Martin.
Right? Yeah.
Like a little bit in the first couple and then not at all for a long time.
Yeah.
And then sort of peppered back in, but like is in no way a staple of James Bond the way that I understood it to be.
That's true. Yeah.
So really, that's been really weird for me. Bond girl.
Yes.
I also gave this an 8. And there's two interesting things here. One, so we have our, what I would say is our main Bond girl, the obvious Bond girl, who interestingly isn't in the film very long.
Right.
She's killed off pretty quick in an execution that I think just speaks to the menacing savageness of Mr. Silva. That he shoots her without a second thought. But she's got a fun backstory. Not fun in the hey kind of way, but in the she's part of a sex trade.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, she's part of a sex trade. Bond's gonna sort of liberate her, right? He's gonna free her.
Yep.
Save her. And ultimately that doesn't end up happening. She gets captured and executed. So that's another, we don't really explore it at all, but it would be interesting to have unpacked if that had any further impact on James's psyche.
Right. Yeah.
But I think she's fun, mysterious. She's got he never sleeps with her. But, well, we don't see them sleep together.
They do shower, like they're hanging out in the shower.
Well, but, you do that. Okay, they probably slept together. But,
sure.
But, but she's got, even before that happens, without her taking her clothes off, just the way she presents herself, she's got a sexiness to her. She's got... and not even that, like, oh, this is how she's been raised, like this is her job, this is how she makes money. She's just, there's a sexy mysteriousness to her. From the moment she first comes over and approaches him, and so that's kind of fun. In a weird twist, though, in many ways, M is also... Like, I think there's an argument that M is kind of a Bond girl in this. Not one, obviously, that there's any romantic entanglement to, but she's the one that needs to be saved. And she's the one, the most almost romantic, or the most emotional connection moment, staring into each other's eyes moment in this movie is felt between Bond and M. Right at the end. And so that's really interesting as well, that the girl that gets, tags along for the shootout is M. But so anyways, I gave this an 8 out of 10, super high. I can't even remember her name. Who's the casino Bond girl?
Severine.
Okay, yeah. No, I don't like her as much as Vesper. But a close second, I would say. I really enjoyed her. So 8 out of 10.
I almost thought of doing something really outside the box. So we've got the 8 categories that we grade and critique, and then we average it out for a score. I almost considered not even scoring Bond Girl and just having 7 categories that I graded and have that for my final score. And I don't mean that as a slight. I just mean, I sit at my laptop and I type Bond Girl, and for this film, I go, who is our traditional Bond Girl is in the traditional definition, and
right. Because the one that we have is in so briefly.
Yeah, and honestly, I ultimately gave it a good score. I gave it an 8.
Okay.
Which I'm wondering if I'm being a bit too strong for considering. The reason I gave it an 8, because it's not bad. I gave it an 8 because, yeah, Severine is interesting. I also included Eva as a Bond girl because there are quite a few interactions between Bond and Eva, and I'd argue there's
Some
probably
flirting.
even more screen time of them flirting, them interacting than there is with Severine. So I had Eva heavily influenced this score, so that's why I gave it such a high 8 out of 10.
Sure.
Definitely lower than Vesper, but yeah, Eva, again, doesn't really fit the definition of the Bond girl, but I considered her for it. She's fun, she's independent, she's strong. So I gave it an 8 out of 10. I did end up including it in my score. I just felt a little weird, and that one kind of, it's a bit different. It would have been interesting if they had just done without Severine at all, because we've talked about this before. It'd be interesting in this
She's
modern...
not necessary.
Yeah, it would be interesting in this modern day rendition of Bond to say we don't need a Bond girl per se in this episode, or at least the traditional definition of a Bond girl, where it's just... I feel Vesper transcends what the definition was. The definition to me is just kind of a girl that is a side piece for Bond, but not necessarily important to the plot. We've done away with that to a degree because the Bond girls have had more dimensions and more importance of late. But this could have been a cool one to just do without it altogether. But
Sure.
yeah.
Okay.
8.
Cool. Supporting characters.
Now this I am intrigued to hear from you.
This is the category for us to talk about.
I think so.
I've been really hard on this category in the past, for the most part.
Yeah.
I think like the first 20 films I scored low. It's like 3, 2, I don't know, 4 maybe. I don't care. Like nobody,
A new Felix Leiter.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Woo. I gave this a 10.
I
wondered.
wondered.
So let's work through them.
Okay.
Mallory is a bureaucratic dick.
Yep.
But he's a lot of fun.
Sure.
He comes around in the end.
Yep.
Obviously becomes our new M.
Which, yeah.
And I'm okay with that, right? Like Ralphie Boy came straight off of Harry Potter and jumped into a set of suspenders and pinstripe dress pants so that we could,
and grew a nose.
And grew a nose. And like just his interactions with Bond. This like, we're sitting there and M lies about Bond's test results and Bond gets up to walk away and Mallory says, "I only have one question. Why not stay dead?" And he clearly doesn't want Bond involved, doesn't want Bond there. M stands up for him, M's already been, Mallory is forcing M to retire, to quit, to leave, to resign. And M says, as long as I'm the head of this department, I'll choose my own agents. And he goes, fair enough. Because he knows in like 2 months you're gone anyway, so I can wait that out.
Right.
And walks up to Bond and like has this. He's like, good luck, welcome back or whatever. Don't cock it up.
Yeah.
And walks away, and he's just like, oh man, like you're almost a villain. Like that was intense.
Mm-hmm.
Q. We have a Q.
Yes.
I struggled at first. Interesting, fantastic actor, wonderful portrayal. Different dynamic because he's still got spots. But that exchange, but he holds his own, right? Like that exchange where Q is validating his credibility and the fact that Bond needs to take him seriously. I can do more damage from my pajamas with a laptop before my morning cup of Earl Grey than you can in the field in a year.
Yeah.
That's fun, right? Like they're kind of taking shots at each other, and that's a lot of fun.
For sure.
The stuff, just the quirps, the fun, the radio banter that they're having back and forth. That's a lot of fun. The fact that he's not able to like talk down to Bond as much. He's not able to like be that old mentor figure, but he still does. He utters the lines, "Please try to bring this equipment back in one piece."
Yeah.
And
yeah.
I'm like, oh God, like I never thought that would feel so good coming from someone so young, but holy shit, there it was, and I'm just as happy. Kincaid is a blast. You're all bent out of shape about where he's parking his moped. I don't care. He's
I'm just saying, how does he get groceries? How does where does he sleep?
Amazing. Yeah, it's amazing to see someone from Bond's past who, much like Alfred, loves Bruce in Batman.
Yeah.
Kincaid loves James.
Try and stop me, you jumped up little shit. Like I'm not leaving.
It's a tough love.
I'm staying here to help you. I'm not leaving.
I love his ignorance, because he's like, when they're doing the target practice.
Yeah.
What was it you said you did for a living?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But so good. He's caring. He's loving. We can forgive the fact that he uses a flashlight in the field during their escape in the night. That's whatever.
That was pretty dumb. I mean,
it was dumb, but whatever. But he's fun and can hold his own.
Yeah.
In a fight. I was not prepared for and did not know, had not been spoiled for me. I had no idea Judi Dench was going to die.
So that's what I've always wondered all along, because we've had this discussion of the pre-Pierce Brosnan days. You alluded that I know something's coming with him. And I was like, so is he referring to he knows Judi Dench is coming, or he also knows that Judi Dench leaves and there's a new M? So I was curious. You didn't know that
I knew she was on her way.
Okay. But you didn't know she was going to be.
I had no idea we were going to lose her.
Really? Wow, that's interesting.
And it's heartbreaking.
Sure. Yeah.
Like I was fighting back tears.
Oh wow. Oh wow.
Oh, I was moved by it. She's just as quirky with him. She's you see in this one more than any of the others someone else who has love for Bond, who respects Bond, who knows that although Bond is a difficult pain in her ass, who calls her a bitch during the word association, which was hilarious.
Right. Yeah.
It's so funny.
That's true.
She knows that he's her best agent.
Yep.
Even on his worst day. And I don't know, just she was if she could win if you can win an Oscar for a Bond film, I think Judi Dench's performance in this is a contender. Hands down. Okay. There's a moment in this film.
Yep.
At the very end of this film.
Sure.
So I watched this film twice. Again, I've watched all the Bond films twice, the Daniel Craig ones twice before reviewing.
Oh yeah, sure.
And so it may be emotionally fresh, and so I might be overreacting as a result of that. The last 5 minutes of this film are currently in my top 10 favorite moments in cinema.
Wow.
And is a feeling that I have not felt since the end of Rogue One.
Huh.
So the end of Rogue One, there's this moment where there's spoilers for Rogue One if no one's seen Rogue One.
Sure.
The end of Rogue One, they've got the plans to the Death Star. They're running from Vader, who is the most badass and cool we've ever seen Vader ever, as he's
for sure
butchering guys in this hallway. And get it through the doorway, and the guy, they're running around on the ship, and he turns the lights on, and there's this like familiar siren sound that's happening, and all of a sudden you see the pearly white hallway, and you go, "Oh my God, I know what's happening. I know this ship.
Yeah.
This is the beginning of episode 4. This is holy crap. Like it's just, you're just swarmed with nostalgia, and it's this beautiful reveal twist fan service moment. And the ending of Skyfall is just as good. In this moment where they're on the rooftop, him and Eva, and they're having this exchange, and she leaves and he follows her, and this is literally how this played out. She hangs her coat on a coat hook, on a hat rack coat hook thing.
Sure.
And I have this like instant like pull inside of me that goes, oh, I know this coat hook. I know this coat stand, this hat stand.
Yeah.
That's interesting. And then it zooms out, cuts to a wider shot, and it's this little office with a window and a simple desk. And I'm like, God, this is incredibly familiar. This is very reminiscent of something.
Yeah.
And then she introduces herself. She didn't even have to. Honestly, he said, we haven't properly introduced ourselves. And the second he said that, my jaw dropped. And I was like, oh my God. And every piece just fell into place. So before she said the words, I knew. But that didn't make her saying the words any less magical. She says, my name's Moneypenny. And I'm like, holy freaking Fridays.
Yeah.
And as if I wasn't about to throw up on myself with happiness enough, we pan over to a padded office door.
Yeah, we do.
Just one. It's not the double door, which
Sure.
I feel like was an oversight. But it's
was
fine.
Was it double?
Padded doors there.
Okay.
In the OG ones, it is. Yeah,
Oh.
you would go through one and close it, and then immediately they were like on there was only like 4 inches between the doors, but yeah, it was a double door in the OG
Sure.
ones.
Yeah.
The padded door, and the guy comes through, and he says the perfect words. He'll see you now.
Yeah.
Which we've heard uttered outside of that door several times in the past.
Sure.
He'll see you now. Often by Moneypenny, but sometimes by whoever M's been meeting with prior to that. He'll see you now.
Yep. Yeah.
And Bond walks through that door into a room that we've seen not for a long time, but many times in the past. And it's M's office. And it's the new M, and Mallory is now M, which works. His name's Mallory. He's
Sure.
M. All right, sure. But oh my God, Pete. That whole reveal, the magic, the pure fan service, I was giddy. I was absolutely giddy. And that happened, and my next feeling was sadness. I was like, oh shit, there's only 2 left. There's only 2. Now that you've set this up, now that you've given me Moneypenny, and you've given me whatever, which then made me curious when we get the next Bond, whether it be Henry Cavill or it be Tom Hardy or it be whoever.
Yeah.
Will it be another reboot, or is it going to be what the Bond films of the past have been?
Right.
Same Moneypenny, same M.
Yep.
Just a different guy in the role.
Yeah, good question.
I'm kind of hoping for that.
Me too. Yep.
But I don't know.
Me too.
Right. We won't know. Really, we won't know if that's a possibility until we see No Time to Die.
Yeah.
But good Lord, 10 out of 10 supporting characters in this film. I'm getting goosebumps right now talking about it. Like, seriously, the hairs on my arms are standing up. That could be blood pressure from the 200 push-ups I did today.
Yeah.
But I think it's just pure.
Oh man.
Pure adrenaline from thinking about this scene and just the supporting characters in this movie in general.
Sure.
10 out of 10.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, I was wondering all this time. I was wondering it could have gone one of two ways. One, the way that you described
I drolled
it.
on there. I apologize.
No. It could have gone one of two ways. And I was wondering if it was going to go this way. That was one option I played out in my head. The other option was that you were like, oh, yeah, great. Like, big deal, kind of. Like, that it would have fallen flat. So
that it could have seemed tacky. It could have seemed cheesy and campy and ridiculous and like, come on, really?
And I can see both being valid responses. So I'm glad it was the response that it was. Not so much that I'm a Bond purist and I would have been disappointed otherwise. I think it's just a more fun experience as a human to hear you talk about that, because it's fun that the Sam Mendes and the creative team was effective. They did what they set out to do by having that 5-minute scene at the end kind of tickle the hearts of both avid fans and just kind of new fans and casual fans. So it's very cool to hear.
Up until this point in the series, it is the best moment in the James Bond franchise for me.
Yeah.
There's no moment that tops it. There's no moment that I look upon and go, oh yeah, like, oh, that was just a James Bond. That was an amazing must-watch moment. This is so far, that is the quintessential James Bond moment.
Yeah, because someone might make the argument, no, like without the Bonds of the 60s and 70s and 80s, that scene means nothing, to which I say, I don't care. I prefer this over that. It just means more to me. I wouldn't say it's my favorite scene. I know that's not exactly what you said, but it's interesting that this scene is so solid and it's untainted, because I think some of my favorite scenes of James Bond come in Casino Royale, but from a character story perspective, they're a little tainted because he's backstabbed, he's heartbroken. Like it's all just a fleeting glimpse. This is just like, you can rewatch it without having any heartbreak. It's just, it is what it is, and it's great, and it stands on its own. So yeah, that's cool.
So I said in the past, and you kind of, that having watched all the other James Bond movies, that I had an appreciation for James Bond, that I had appreciation for the character, for the supporting characters, for the world that's been created, that I wouldn't have had otherwise. And you're like, okay, maybe. Hands down now, without argument, not debatable. Had I started with Daniel Craig,
sure,
that scene would have meant nothing. I would have, the scene would have ended, the movie would have ended, and I would have went, oh, okay.
Right.
All right. Who's Moneypenny? All right. Okay. This the secretary, is that supposed to mean anything? It's kind of a dated looking office. His office looks like the office of someone in the 70s.
Yeah.
Like, that's a little weird. 60s, Yeah. No, it was without a doubt.
Yeah.
The hours upon hours upon hours of 007 that I have watched.
Yeah.
Is all worth it because of that scene, and was necessary in order for that scene to have the impact that it had.
I'm content with, for all my life I had watched that scene and I had known the intellectual ties that it was making, that, M used to be a man, Moneypenny's returned, like all these things. I was like, intellectually I get it, and I thought it was fun. I think that would have been
a weird
enough.
Sentence. M used to be a man. Judi Dench, what are you not telling us?
All these things, I think that was enough of a fun thing for me. I don't know if I had to watch all 25. I don't regret it, but I can see the merit.
Enhanced?
What's that?
Was that scene enhanced now that you've seen the others?
I think perhaps not measurable. It's not at the same level as
Okay.
you, but yeah, I can see the merit in it. Not enough that I would recommend if someone walked up to me. I would never say you need to watch all 24 leading up to Skyfall. But if they were going to watch 24 anyway, then I'd say, hey, this will be an interesting ride for you.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
I would say you
gave-
at least would have to watch the Sean Connery ones
Yeah, I would say so.
for that scene to have that impact.
I gave supporting characters a 9 out of 10.
Admirable.
And the only reason I didn't give it a 10, I gave it a -1 penalty because there was no Felix Leiter, no Jeffrey Wright. I loved supporting characters because I've talked about this in the Pierce Brosnan films. We see the SIS headquarters, and I loved it returning to MI6. And then obviously it blew up, so we were introduced to a new MI6 headquarters, but I thought that was cool. New Q was great, new quartermaster. And I loved how Q had an ongoing involvement with the story. He had his moment where he shows Bond some things, but it wasn't just hi and bye. He was there for different sequences with Bond. There were some action sequences where they had Bluetooth or, radio waves with each other where they're talking and they're helping each other through a sequence. So I liked how he had an ongoing involvement. Loved the new Moneypenny. I love the backstory. So now it's just this, we realize the reason she is where she is, and she was suspended from field work for shooting James Bond. And I think that's great. Yeah. That's fun. Love Ralph Fiennes. Just as a side note, I thought the changing of the guard with them was great. As much as I appreciate Judi Dench, it's sad to see her go. But I love Ralph Fiennes taking over, and the relationship we see with Bond and Judi Dench's M was quite interesting. It converted to quite a personal relationship from where it had been in the past. And my last character, I'm going to put Kincaid. I've made some jabs at him for being a little random and, he had no car and all that stuff. And he's not exactly based on any historical character, so it's not as rich as the Moneypenny or the new M or the Q. But he was a great added taste to this. And, the two lines that stood out for me is Bond's like, dude, you got to hit it, leave. I'm not dragging you into this. And he's like, try and stop me from helping you, you jumped up little shit. And I always, when I watched this in theaters, I remember just bursting out laughing with the person I saw this with, is when like the assailants come into the house and he just blows them away and he just belts out, "Welcome to Scotland." So good. But
He's
yeah,
got so much personality.
Oh yeah. So I gave it a 9 out of 10. Very solid category.
I think the only reason the absence of Felix didn't count as a demerit for me is I loved him so much in Casino Royale, but in Quantum of Solace, he was such a hitter, like he was kind of a dud for me.
Yeah.
And so this time around, I just didn't miss his,
Sure.
And there was so, like everyone else's presence was so rich that I was like, I don't need this to be overcrowded.
Yeah, that's fair.
Bond song.
Sure.
I gave it an 8.
Oh, okay. I have to say I'm surprised because I was just being predictive here. Of all the categories that I thought you would have given a 10, I thought it would have been this. For some reason.
Yeah, you know what? It's Adele's Skyfall. So it's we all know it. It's incredible. The sequence was a little weird for me and kind of weak.
Sure.
I didn't like the whole giant hand that pulls him down into the. I was like, what? What's going on? That's a little weird. Just because it was like a blending of the movie with the, there was kind of like a fourth wall break that happened there where the film, a scene that was still technically part of the film was now part of the sequence. I don't know. And I'm still just not as good as it felt, as punchy as it is to be that moment that it ends with. Much like, Star Wars when it it just kind of, that transition, that like growing from a circle in the center of the screen transition that always happens, and you see the blue writing in Star Wars and the ba-bum, 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 and okay, like Star Wars is over now. And as much as the gun barrel sequence is that for this movie, I still just, I don't know. I don't want it at the end.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
It's or sandwich it. Give me both. Give me both.
Yeah.
That'd be fine. That wouldn't bother me at all. I wouldn't be like, that's an overuse of it. No, start it with that. That's just I don't know. Yeah. So, but an 8, and maybe that's low, but some of it was, I don't think the demerits are the song itself. I think it's some weirdness with the sequence, and then the damn gun barrel scene at the end of the movie.
Fair enough. I gave this category a 9 out of 10. So it's very close to the Casino Royale, which was 10 out of 10. You know what? Adele is great. The Vinny montage is respectable. And to this film's credit, I felt it had a bit of a classic Bond vibe, the song and the montage. And there were times where it did give me goosebumps, similar to when I got goosebumps in Casino Royale. It's not the best. The naked female silhouettes return. The one thing I will say is interesting, and again, it's a commentary on where this film is in modern day compared to films of the 60s being representative of that time. I watched an interview where the choreographer, or I don't even know what his role was, but someone involved in the creative team who was working with this video. And it's just interesting how far we've come, where his kind of vision of the song is, there's a reason for everything in this song. Like it kind of represents Bond in this kind of quasi purgatory where he is almost kind of dying and he has all these demons in his past and in his present. And it's just interesting how it can be an artistic endeavor. And it's come a long way from and you've said it jokingly, of these past films where it's a guy with a megaphone saying, okay, where's the trampoline? Check. Where's the naked women jumping on the trampoline? Check. Let's hit it. Let's do it. We've come.
All right, let's try to have this done before lunch.
Exactly. Like it is love it or hate it. I think it's okay. You didn't like it as much, but it is still fascinating that this montage has artistic endeavors in it, that it's trying to convey themes and elements that are part of this film, that are part of a more multi-dimensional James Bond. And that is just cool. It's just not just random things on a screen. It all has artistic purpose. So for that alone, it's just cool to see how far we've come. But on its own, the song and the montage, a respectable 9 out of 10.
Fair. Now you have a category that doesn't matter. I mean, it matters. It doesn't count towards the score. No. We don't, we don't score.
Easy, son. Easy.
Yeah. I have one thing to put in that category. I don't know about you.
Sure. I've got one thing, and I feel a little ignorant. I couldn't find it on a Google search. I'm wondering if I'm grasping at something that's not there. When I watch this film, I sometimes catch it. So obviously it's the 50th anniversary of James Bond. I don't have any actual one-liners like funny, witty things. It's more just, I sometimes wonder if in the screenplay, in the script, if there's intentional references to prior James Bond film titles, or if it just
I know the one you mean.
If it just comes by accident.
Oh, no, I don't.
So the one that just stands out is, I forget the context now, but someone is saying, hey, we've got this secret file. I believe it's a secret file, and it's for M, and they say it's for her eyes only. So there's just like things that, hey, that sounds like for your eyes only. Like there were just like little references that
Bond is having a guy analyze the shrapnel that he's dug out of his shoulder. That's right. Yes. And he says, have this analyzed for her eyes only.
For her eyes only. So, yeah, so there were like little things that I've never paid attention enough that if all the prior 22 Eon films are all referenced, like I don't think they are, but
I know.
Maybe it's just one coincidental line that sounds like one of the James Bond films, and I don't know if there are any other I missed. It didn't come up on a quick Google search, so I don't think it's a thing, but I thought that would have been kind of a cool thing to just have them all kind of under the radar, mentioned in passing. But
So I have two to add, actually.
Please.
And I think I can actually shed some light on the For Her Eyes Only thing. So
Okay.
the film is
Yeah.
For Her Majesty's Eyes Only. And I think that, so when he says For Her Eyes Only, I don't think that that's, I don't think that that's M's eyes.
oh,
I think that For Her Eyes Only, for her, I think her is a reference to the Queen, is a reference to Her Majesty.
sure.
And so I think For Her Eyes Only is a way of saying super classified, top confidential.
Okay.
Keep this quiet.
Okay. So
This is of national security importance. I
I'm
could be
maybe
wrong,
I'm
but
maybe
that's how I
grasping.
interpret that.
I could be grasping at something here.
So the two, interestingly, are not lines spoken by Bond.
Oh,
One is spoke
wow.
by Moneypenny,
okay.
and Bond says to her, "Impressive, because a moving target is harder to hit." And and then he walks away, and she retorts and says, "Well, you better keep moving then." And that
Yeah.
was a great line. The other line that just I was like, "Oh yeah, this is amazing," is when Q gives Bond the gun and the radio transmitter, and Bond kind of says, "Oh, so a palm print encoded gun and a radio transmitter," and then makes some comments. He's like, it's like Christmas or something, right? Makes a sarcastic kind of like, "Oh, is that it?" And Q says, "What were you expecting? An exploding pen?" We don't
Yeah.
really go in for that kind of thing anymore.
Yeah, that's cool.
And that was like, it was so self-aware. It was this amazing acknowledgement of like, yeah, the gadgets we're a little less tacky with our gadgets now. We're a little more realistic. We're a little more practical, real world stuff. And so that was fun. But
that
so
was
listen,
a pretty
if
cool
I take all my
line.
categories and I average them up, my current reigning champion is Casino Royale, the 2006 Casino Royale,
Yep.
as is yours.
Yeah.
And it has a 7.6.
Sure. So 7.6 is the leader in your scoring. Gotcha. Okay.
7.6 is what we have to try to beat.
Sure.
Skyfall gets a 9.1.
Oh my god. Okay. All right.
I loved this film.
Okay.
Loved it. Not only do I think it's the quintessential Bond film in every possible way, it was by far my favorite.
Oh wow.
It was just so good. It's
Okay,
so
so
good.
what are your top three again? So now it's Skyfall at number 1.
Skyfall,
Yeah.
then Casino Royale,
Okay.
and then Goldeneye.
Oh, and then
I feel like,
okay.
you know what?
Yeah.
I feel like that's an arguable list.
Sure.
That's,
Yeah.
if I'm going to tell you that those are the three best Bond films, Skyfall, Casino Royale, and Goldeneye,
Yeah.
that's a I'm not saying, Skyfall, Thunderball, License to Kill, right? Like that's a respectable
Sure.
top three. I feel
Oh
like.
yeah.
So
I had at the leaderboard, I had Casino Royale at 9.3
right.
at number
Which
1.
I thought you were trigger happy and friggin' out to lunch and that many 10s should never be given.
Yeah, I feel a little.
But I was
like,
young. Listen, I was young and I didn't know.
You were on
I had
me
not
like
seen the.
you were just ripping on me like every time I gave a 10, and I feel like they were around the same numbers you did. You're like, dude, you can't do that. You can't do it.
I was young and I had not seen the light of a burning Scottish estate.
Okay.
And now I have.
Yeah. I gave Skyfall out of 10 a 7.5.
That's high. That's
so
good.
Very,
for you.
very different from your score. Like not as high, but it's still good for second best.
Yeah. There you go.
So my top 3 as of right now are Casino Royale at 9.3, Skyfall at 7.5, and Goldfinger at 6.5.
Goldfinger.
Yeah.
which is so interesting to me that one's held in. But
Yeah, it could. I'm curious if we scored it today, how it would be different, because that was so early
Right.
on that, you know, maybe
we
we
didn't
were a
have
little.
the context.
Yeah, exactly.
So our top two are just flipped.
Yeah,
My second favorite is your first favorite, and your first favorite is my second favorite.
yeah,
That's fine.
yeah. And I
Cool.
could honestly live with either. Like, I feel like there was a small period, maybe a couple years, where I probably thought Skyfall was the best. And then I grew back to thinking, no, I think it still is Casino Royale. But
Okay.
they're very close.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. I do what you do best, man. I'm not even gonna try.
Okay.
Oh
so,
wait, trivia.
Yeah. So we've got a couple things to go over here.
Right,
One,
because I have trivia for you.
yeah. So So I'll go over the couple things. One, as a flaw, not even a flaw. It does feel like this Skyfall is a bit of a side quest from some of the James Bond storyline, as far as answering some of the underlying questions of what happened in 1 and 2 of the Daniel Craig. Like, what is this underlying organization? How does it relate to anything that we're doing? We kind of take a break from it, which, I mean, I think is a bit. I'm a little upset about it that we just step away from it. But that being said, it's still a really good movie, so it's hard to fault it for what it's done. And then, of note, we have to figure out where this film ranks on the tomato meter.
So I have two options. What are the two options?
The two options are 5 or 18.
5.
Yeah, that's. I mean, really, like, come
I
on.
would honestly, if it were okay, I would and I'm not kidding. I would
Yeah.
struggle to continue reviewing these films had this scored 18.
Sure. So let me just let me just say this here. So for the context, number 1 was on this tomato meter is Goldfinger is number 1 at 98. Casino Royale is 2 with 95%. From Russia with Love is 95% at number 3. Dr. No is 4 at 95%. And then Skyfall is 92. So somehow From Russia and Dr. No rank higher than this.
Yeah, I don't see that.
The
But
last
I think
thing
that's
I'll
just
say,
a nostalgic diehard
Oh,
fanboy thing.
yeah. Someone who just found out what Rotten Tomato was, and they're like, "Hey, let's click this a lot of times, Martha." The other thing I just want to tell you, Thunderball is only 4% lower than Skyfall.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Which is,
Trivia.
again, that's all that is
Yeah.
bullshit.
Trivia me. Give me some trivia,
Okay, so I have two for you.
please.
And they're not true or false, they're not options. It's just like, do you know something?
Please.
And if you do, then tell me, and if you don't, then I'll enlighten you.
Sure.
There is there's an extra detail. So obviously the 1964 Aston Martin that Daniel Craig whips out in this is a homage, is a tip of the hat to Sean Connery.
Sure.
But there's a hidden detail that most people likely miss in this tipping of the hat. Can you tell me what it is?
No.
If you go back, so what is it? Is it Thunderball that we first see the Aston Martin?
Goldfinger.
Is it Goldfinger?
Yeah.
So if you go back and watch Goldfinger,
Okay.
you will find the identical license plate number. So not only is it the same car,
Oh,
but
really?
it's the same license plate.
Oh, no
which
way.
just felt like so I paused the movie while we were watching it and I looked it up because I was like, oh, I wonder. I was like, if they're smart, then they would have done this. The other thing, famously, this film
Yep.
had to spend an extra chunk of change in post-production
Oh.
to fix a mistake. Do you know what that was?
Huh.
Like million. I should have looked up the number, but like millions of extra
mistake?
dollars to fix a mistake that is kind of Daniel Craig's fault, but at the same time, there's a whole crew that should have caught this as well.
Oh, no, I have no idea.
And you can still, there's actually, I knew this going into it, so it was kind of some fun. There's one or two moments where the continuity is a little loose, and you'll see like a scene where they didn't bother to correct it.
Okay.
So famously, when when they started shooting this film, Daniel Craig had found a pair of leather gloves that he really liked.
Okay.
And you see him wear these leather gloves several times throughout the film. In fact, they even end up being a plot point because the guy that he's holding on to kind of slips partially because Bond's arm is all messed up, but also partially because of these gloves he's wearing.
Sure.
And so he loved these gloves so much that he wore them through most of the shooting. Like he's like, this is Bond's gimmick this time around. He's got these gloves. He really likes them. He's going to wear these gloves. So they shoot the whole film. And then someone goes, wait a second. How does the palm print encoded gun work when he's wearing gloves? And so if you have like a 4K version and like pause it and zoom in and go frame by frame, you can tell occasionally that anytime he's got that gun out, that those are gloves that he's wearing that have been digitally painted to look like his hands. Yeah, because it was either reshoot all of the action sequences basically.
Oh man.
Or spend millions of dollars and weeks and weeks and weeks digitally turning his gloved hands into gloveless hands. Which, again, total friggin', but there's just the odd time where you're like, the shape of his hand is a little weird. Like his fingers seem really fat. And that's because he's wearing leather gloves.
Wow. And, no.
And which technically, is Daniel Craig's fault. But come on, how did nobody every day on set the bad guy picks up the gun and it doesn't work because he doesn't have the right palm print, and then Bond picks it up again and uses it because he does have the right palm print, but he's wearing leather gloves, and nobody goes, whoa, actually hang on a second. Nobody?
Wow. Yeah, that's not good.
Yeah, so that's a fun piece of trivia.
That is crazy. Yeah.
So wrap this damn thing up, boy.
Sure. I'll wrap this up. Of note, I just want to say this is the highest grossing Bond film, not accounting for inflation, but over $1 billion worldwide.
Because the people know what's good.
Apparently. If you haven't done so already, please check out our links below: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Like, follow, subscribe if you haven't done so already. If you're feeling so inclined, check out our Patreon and merchandise pages below. It's a way to support the show, help keep the lights on, help pay the bills, help us grow. And also, with the Patreon page, it's a way for us to give you perks and incentives for helping support the show. So check that out. If you're not at that level of support, no worries. Thank you for listening. And we'll see you for, as weird as it is to say, one more episode of James Bond. Well,
until No Time to Die.
Until No Time to Die. Yeah, exactly.
One more soon, and then several month hiatus.
Well, one more soon, and then we'll review them all again leading up to No Time to Die.
Yeah. Just lightning round. God no. Check out Patreon. We are literally this month going to replace 95% of the equipment that the show is recorded with, including potentially enabling, future-proofing so that when COVID is over, we can have guests in person. They can have their own mic. Everything will sound good.
Yeah.
So and a little bit of extra support. Honestly, like a dollar a month makes that much of a difference. It really does.
Yeah.
So, so thank you so much. If you enjoyed this episode, good for you. If you didn't enjoy this episode, deal with it. I don't. I did my best. It was a long episode, but it needed to be.
Also, shout out to Matt, because I feel like he needs to be shouted out for being his favorite film and being in cahoots with you.
Me too, Matt. Me too. Me too.